Okay. We'll start with the prayer, starting prayer. So, Om Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutali Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namini Namaste Saraswate Devi Kauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Shunyavati Pashyata Desha Tarini Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaurava Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Just give me a moment. I'm just getting some noise around here. Hare Krishna. So yesterday's, can we have a quick recap on what were the 5 reasons why Arjuna wasn't ready to fight? Can somebody quickly tell me? What was the first reason Arjuna wasn't fighting? He wasn't ready to fight. What was it? Can you please read it? Yes, that's right. I'm seeing it on the chat box. That's right. Compassion, fear of committing sin, family traditions. That's right. Then further. No enjoyment. That's right. Then indecision. This is the 5 major reasons why he wasn't ready to fight, right? So now in this chapter 2, we will see the answer Krishna gives to all these points. All these 5 reasons why Arjuna says he is not going to fight. He doesn't want to fight. Krishna says, wait, I'll tell you the reasons for answers to every question that you have so that you decide to fight. So in this chapter, which is between the chapter 1 and chapter 2, we have a small connection. This is the first Arjuna presents his doubts and reasons to avoid fighting. Then Arjuna gets completely confused in his relationship with Krishna and changes from friend to guru. So on the second chapter, he's changing himself from a friend to guru. Okay, so on the first section, we'll see between 2.1 and 2.10. Arjuna goes further into the doubts and surrender to Krishna. He says he casts further doubts and he then surrenders to Krishna. Between 2.11 and 2.30, he is the Jnana fight. So it is like Krishna tells him why he has to fight, and he clearly tells him there is no death for a soul. So we'll go through that and I'll explain you that. In the third section between 2.31 and 2.38, Krishna explains him the Karma Kanda. He said, like, perform your prescribed duties and gain the material enjoyment. So like you go and do your duties. Don't look at your material gains, don't look at your material losses, don't look at all that. Just go and fight. It is your duty to fight. Arjuna is a Kshatriya, right? Arjuna is a king. So he is from the king's family. So what is his duty? He has to fight. He tells your karma is to fight. So go ahead and fight. The fourth section is the Buddhi Yoga. Okay, the fight without any reaction. So don't look at the results. You have to go and fight. So that is your duty to fight. Go ahead and fight. So for fifth section is again Sthita Prajna or Samadhi fight. So become fixed in Krishna consciousness. He said, like, you believe in God, right? So believe in God. So you believe me. So Krishna says, you are believing in me. Just have that belief in me and go ahead and fight. And everything will happen on its own. Because God is by his side. Okay? Fine. So now we will go to the next detail and tell you how things are. So what are the qualities of Guru? What is the primary quality? Yesterday we saw this in the IQ and EQ. So you saw that, right? The first chapter, where there was any place where we saw Krishna speaking? So Krishna was only listening. So we told in the IQ and the EQ when we were discussing, who is a good leader? Who's listening, right? So Krishna is still listening. Yes, come on, let me listen to it. Then I will tell you what it is. Okay. So he was just silent and just waiting for people, I told you yesterday, Krishna was just waiting for the problem to be bigger and asked Arjuna to surrender to him. So once he surrenders and says, Krishna, I have no option, but you have to help me. That's when Krishna says. So it happens even in our life, right? In that workplace, in our college or something. So what happens is, like, okay, I just wanted to quickly check. How many of you, there are 23, 25 participants now. So how many of you work? Can you just say if you're working, you just type on the chat box, I work. If you're in college, you say I'm in college. Or you say, if you're studying, you say I'm studying. Okay, I see, I work, college, I'm studying, working, college, working, college, I'm studying. And I see that, okay, there's someone who's doing both. Okay, that's nice. Okay, I see that. I think most of you are, there is a lot of people who are in the college stage studying, and there are a few people who are also working. I think that's close to an 60-40 ratio that I'm looking at. That's nice. So I'm asking this because so that I'll be able to give you some examples which is close to the college and as well as the early work experience. So if you say when you're working, I'm assuming that you are all on the 0 to 5 years or 8 years of experience. So that's nice. So Krishna was just listening here. Okay, Krishna is still listening and then seeing, like, when similarly what happens in our work or in our office, in our college days, when we are certain that we don't know how to read, like when the exams are nearby, we don't know how to go and do it. We go tell a friend or someone, say, like, guy, teach me this unit of this chapter. It's like this chapter. I have no idea what is happening. So just give me the quick recap of this so that just before the exam, I'm just going to do it. How many of you do that? At least I have done that many times. So I'm sure you guys are also doing it. Just before the exams, you go say, so you have a friend of yours whom you will definitely trust, and then he'll be able to help you and you believe in that. So just go tell him, like, guys, please help me on this and then tell me what is it. And believe me, they tell you the right things. Tell you just an overview of it and you are able to understand almost the whole thing. And most of the time it happens, that's the question which comes in the exams also. How many of you have done that? How many of you have some friends like that? Some teachers like that who give you a last minute recap of things? Happens, right? Okay. I'm not seeing anything on the chat. If you say, if you have experience, you say yes. Oh, okay, I see yes. Yeah. Okay. So in Bhagavad Gita, when you see the different people addressing, we see that Sanjaya Vacha, Arjuna Vacha, we see Dhritarashtra Vacha. So it is like these are people who are, it is their words, or it is they too are talking. But when it says, when Krishna is talking, they don't say Krishna Vacha. They always say Bhagavan Vacha. Because Bhagavan is the greatest. So he is the God. Okay, it's clearly said it is Bhagavan Vacha. And what are the qualities of God? So we all want to be rich, right? So Bhagavan is a person who is super rich, who's like, who's got billions and billions of it. So like he's got no limit to the richness of it, no limit to the money that he has. So he is completely, all Lakshmi Devis are serving him. Okay, there are millions of Lakshmi Devis who are serving him. So when that is happening, so Bhagavan has got enough and more, even like more than what he wants money. So he's got tremendous money. And is there any doubt of the way Krishna is famous or God is famous? Is there any limit to his famousness? Can you think someone who is more famous than God? No, right? So that's how famous God is. So we talk about 6 opulences. So then again, when we look at strength, what happens? Like even the strongest person goes in front of God and say, God, give me more strength. Happens or not? Even the strongest person goes. A person who's so fit in the gym, he might not be as famous as others. He might not be as rich as other people. He might not have the knowledge of the other people. So, but God has the strength. God has the knowledge. And you have any limit for the God's knowledge? So we don't have any limit to it. Renunciation. He is the best in the renunciation. Like he's given up anything. So he renounced everything that he had, but still he is the richest. So he has no desires at all, right? So that's God. And beauty. So like how beautiful Krishna is, how what a beautiful God is. Do we even look at any God telling them that they are less beautiful, this God is more beautiful? No, right? All gods are so and so beautiful. So these are the 6 opulences of Bhagavan. Beauty, rich, famous, strength, knowledge, and renunciation. Okay, just note these points because like this can be a part of your quiz questions. Okay, then I can ask you what are the 6 opulences of Bhagavan. Okay, so now you understand the opulences of Bhagavan. So what we will do is we will go to the next one. So now Krishna is trying to answer Arjuna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead to no higher planets, but to infamy." So he says, like, Arjuna, come on, you are a Kshatriya and how can these impurities get to your mind? How can you tell that you don't want to fight? So it happens, when we have this fight happening in our mind every day, and we say like exams, there are exams and we need to go give the exams, or we have some work to do and something like you know that your boss is going to, you're going to have trouble with your boss because you've not completed some activity. Then you know that, and then like you say, okay, today I'll not go to work, today I'll not go to college because I've not done this. So that's something that you start giving up. So that's when Krishna says, come on, you can't do that. How can these impurities come upon you? You can't be giving away the value of your life. Okay, this will not lead you to the results. This will again lead you to more confusion. So after all, if you have not done your assignments, if you've not done your project, if you've not done your work, it's not something like someone else is going to do it. It's you have to do it. Probably you won't do it today, you'll have to do it tomorrow. Today you go and tell the staff or the person who's going to review it, tell them, okay, I've not done it today, but I'm going to definitely do it tomorrow. Yes, maybe they'll be angry for some time, but then they understand. They will again appreciate the fact that you've come back, you've told them, you've not ducked them. You've always gone back and told, yes, I will do it. So that's the confidence that we need to give. So what happens is after some time when people get back to you, they always know that, okay, if this person is not going to do it, he's not able to do it, he's always going to come back and tell me he has not done it. So that makes more important. That gives them a more confidence, right? That is more important. We always talk in the work environment, we say, we don't want people who are very excellent in their knowledge. We want people who are excellent in their attitude, right? How many of you have heard this? People are expecting for people with good attitude to learn, good attitude to give, a lot of honesty. These are the things that they're looking for, right? Do you agree with my point? Yeah, that's right. Okay. So second thing, then again in 2.7, Krishna tells Arjuna, now I am, sorry, My chat box just got widened. Okay. Now Krishna says, now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. This is again Arjuna telling Krishna, in this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. And now I am a disciple and a soul surrendered to you. Please instruct me. Okay. How many of you have had this doubt when the whole Mahabharata was happening? And why did Krishna Krishna come to rescue of Arjuna right in the field of battle, right in the middle of the battlefield of Kurukshetra? Could Krishna not have solved the problem even before? How many of you think that he could have done it before? Just tell me yes on this chat box. He could have done it much before, right? But why did he not do it? He did not do it. Can anybody come up with an answer why he did not do it? Okay, we'll just go with a small example. He was testing Arjuna. Okay. No, he was not testing Arjuna. He was waiting. He was waiting for people. See, God doesn't come and help you out of way. Okay, you have to go and ask God for help. So here what is happening? He was waiting for Arjuna to surrender to him. What happened to Draupadi? So Draupadi was again in the middle of the game. Draupadi was not part of the game which was happening. And all her husbands, they played the game and they bet on Draupadi, which she never knew. And when the betting was happened, the betting got and they lost, they made sure that Draupadi was to be given to Duryodhana's side because they lost her. So when that was happening and her sari was being pulled out, she called for help from everybody. She called for help from Arjuna. She called for help from Dhritarashtra. From Yudhishthira. She called for help from Bhishma. She called for help from Nakula, Sahadeva, but they were not. They were all helpless. Okay, and what happened at the end of it when she said, "Krishna, help me"? Then Krishna comes. So all that time they never expected. She never called Krishna. But when she called for, God was there to help her. Right? You would have seen this, read this many times in Mahabharata. You would have seen this many times in the TV serials. What happens? Like she doesn't call Krishna, right? Initially, she calls for everybody else. Krishna was just waiting for the people to. Krishna is always waiting for people to call. When people call Krishna, Krishna is there to help you. Imagine when Arjuna was fighting this war, all the days before, did he ever ask Krishna, surrender to Krishna and said, Krishna, now it's up to you to solve it. You tell me how to solve it, I will solve it. He never did that, right? He always said like, Krishna, I'm doing this. When he asked for when Duryodhana and Arjuna go to Krishna and say, Krishna says, I'll give you one wish, both of you to ask me. He was expecting that if Duryodhana had said, Krishna, I surrender to you, maybe Krishna would have helped Duryodhana solve the problem. Krishna would have been on the Duryodhana side, still solve the problem. Duryodhana said, no, I want all your army. Krishna already killed to the armies of the battle, but he was waiting to give Bhagavad Gita Gyan to Arjuna. Yes, but he was setting up the stage. That is also right. That's absolutely right. He was setting up the stage. Right? So when Arjuna goes and asks Krishna about the help, he says, I want you, Krishna, by my side. He never said, like, I surrender to you, Krishna. You tell me what to do. Maybe had he told, he would have solved the whole issue that itself. But then everybody takes time. So we also take time to surrender. And we have our own views. So we always take that time. So that's what is happening. So now Arjuna says, Krishna, I have done as much of whatever I could do, but I cannot take it anymore. I'm going to kill all my family members on the other side. That's the kind of war we are fighting. So please now instruct me what to do. I am surrendering to you. So that's when Krishna says, okay, now that you have come, I'll tell you what to do. Okay. So it is like when people don't see Krishna, God, just like that. It's like sun. Okay, when you see the sun, uh, we see the sun setting and sun rising. Does that mean the sun is not around? No, right? The sun is always around. So God is always around us. We only don't see, we don't realize the God's presence everywhere, right? Sun is always there. So sun is either on our side. Today is just now the sun is rising, so now we see the sun on this side. As it said, the sun is setting. The sun is still there. We have only moved from that side. It is like when you're playing cricket. Okay, it's a bouncer coming to your face. And if the bouncer is coming to your face, if you close your face, it is not that the ball is not going to hit you. It's still going to hit you, right? So there's no point in closing your eyes. So you always have to realize that God is around you. So that's the realization that we have to take over a period. As we go through the journey, we'll realize this truth. Okay, so that's where Krishna is everywhere. Okay. So now this was the answer to the first question. So like this is the answer to the first question. He says like I have compassion towards my family members. So now Krishna says there was never a time when I did not exist. There was never a time. So never there was a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be existing. So you get this point. So he says, like, there was never a time that I did not exist, you did not exist. So how come? Now this is the confusion that comes to our mind. So all of us, Krishna says, we always existed. Maybe we existed even during the time of Kurukshetra war. We could have been part of the Kurukshetra war. But we were all existing even then. We exist today. We will continue to exist in the future also. Now this is where Krishna breaks the theory of atheism, wherein we say we have only one janma, only one life to live. So enjoy your life today and you have no future life. So it's not like that. So Krishna says Krishna says there are 84 lakh species in Bhagavad Gita, and everybody lives through. And this is the body is just the body that you're living. It is the soul which travels and continues to travel. So that's what he says. So there was never a time when the soul did not exist, nor all these kings on whom the soul is still there. But the soul has taken the form, has gone into the body of these kings. So the soul was always existing. Okay? Understand this point? Please tell me if you are okay, or if you want a little more understanding of it, please type on the chat box. Okay? So we see like Krishna says everybody was always existing, and the soul travels. It just travels from one life to the other life to the other life. Okay, we'll see some examples. I'll give you some examples of also of that. He says, "Who am I? I'm in this body. What am I doing in this body?" Okay. So he says, "What is this body made of?" It is just body is just the Panchabhuta that we say is the fire, water, sky, air, and earth. There's only these 5 items that is part of the body. Do you see something else? Everything is only within this. So everything in the body is part of the Panchabhuta. And what makes it life, what makes it lively, is the soul which rests inside the body. It's the soul. So it's the soul which comes in. What happens when someone dies? We always say, his soul, he's passed away. Okay, he's passed away. What has passed away? Actually, the soul in the body has passed away. It has passed to another body. It's gone out of the body. And when that happens, we declare the person dead. Right? Do you agree? We always say when someone dies, we say, may the good soul rest in peace. Right? What do we say? Maybe the soul, which has gone out of the body, gets into another body and rests in peace there. Right? How many of you do that? We just say soul rest in peace. When there's a message, when there's an obituary message coming in any of the WhatsApp chats, you always tell them, or RIP, we just say rest in peace. Right? what do we say? It's the soul which is going to rest in peace. So do we realize that the soul, we even without knowing what it was, we always been telling it's the soul which has passed away, the soul which has to go rest in peace, right? So that all that we have in this body is, what is important is the soul. Okay, so now Arjuna, Krishna is answering, and we saw Krishna has already started answering. He says, as the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from bodyhood to the youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body and death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. So the people who have already realized this, okay, people who know the truth, they're not worried if someone dies over a period of time through their old age. Okay, we don't say that we see people crying, we see people cribbing and all that, but a realized soul understands. Okay, the soul has moved from this body, is going to another body. Okay, so a simple example of it. What happens is when there's Parikshit Maharaj who has no kids for a very long time. So he says like he goes to Angira Muni and he says like, God, please bless me with some kids. He has got so many wives. He says, I want, or at least I don't have a hire for my kingdom. I have a huge kingdom, but I have no hire for my kingdom. Please give me a baby, a son, so that I can pass on my responsibilities, my kingdom to him, and he can take care of the kingdom. Angira Muni says, okay, I can give you a son. That's not a problem. I can give you a son. But the problem is, I can give you a piece of happiness as well as sorrow together. You tell me, what do you want? He says, I'm okay. I just want a son. He's so desperate that he does not even listen to what Angira Muni said. He said, like, just give me a son. That's all that I want. So Angira Muni said, you will get a son, but he will come with happiness as well as sorrow. Okay? So he did not listen to part, what he was. The Rama king was so desperate to get a son, get a hire, that he did not listen to what Angira Muni was clearly mentioning. So what happened was the child is born, and the child is born to the first wife of the king. And the king gets so happy that he's got a king, he's got a hire, he's got a son, that he starts spending most of the time with his son and with his first wife. Okay. Now what happens is when he spends most of the time with his first wife, all the other wives get worried about it, and what they do is they start creating vengeance inside. They want to take a revenge on it. Okay, what happens is over a period of time, as the thought of the revenge goes higher and higher and higher, as it goes bigger, so they decide to kill the child, and they go and kill the child. Now the king is so dejected, and he says, how can this happen? How can the child be killed by his own mothers, by his own wives, who were still queens, and all that he wanted was a baby, or wanted a son for his kingdom to be passed on. This happens, right, when someone is scoring high marks, when someone is going to gets a better job, gets a better salary, when someone gets a better recognition in the society. Okay, all of the 6 affluences that we saw. If someone has got a better body, when he got much stronger, when he looks better, he's beautiful. Like what we do, we always think that we always get to the negative sense. We always go one level below, and we feel insecure, we feel rejected, and sometimes we also build the revenge factor into it. How many of you have gone through this? How many of you have gone through this? Please say yes, something on the chat screen, so that I'm just making sure that I'm engaging you, and I'm seeing that people are listening. So that's why. So thank you. So you'll have to be honest in these things. So there's no one who's going to catch you by by your neck and say, like, how can you do that? No, it's something that we've all gone through. And I'm sure people who are not replying have also gone through that, right? So when this happens, so when this happens, when this happened with Parikshit Maharaj, he calls Narad Muni and says, this is what has happened. Can you bring back my son? Narad Muni says, yes, I can bring back your son. But how do you say that he is your son? And he brings back the son to life. And the son gets up and says, when the son gets up, and the Parikshit Maharaj goes and says, son, you have come back to life. The son gets up and says, okay, you have been my father. In which birth have you been my father? So the king is suddenly, he's surprised by the question that his son has asked. He's like, which birth have you been my father? I've gone through millions of births. And now you're telling me that you're my father. In which birth? So that shows that's a theory that is, let's say, explained in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, that it clearly says the soul passes and soul travels from body to body to body. And within the body, it travels from young age, it goes to the older age, and it goes through the youth, it goes through the old age, and then it slowly vanishes from that body and travels to the next body. And it clearly says that the spirited soul is eternal and indestructible. You can destroy the body, you cannot destroy the soul. Because of this, one should not be bewigged with the inevitable destructions of the material body. Rather, one should remain fixed in his prescribed duty, which purify and allow one to realize his eternal self. Okay. You can see the image through which the soul goes. As a death, there is a baby which is born, and the baby goes to the young age, goes to the youth age, then it goes to the old age, and then again it passes and gets back. So it's a cycle that it continues to do. Okay, just to explain you further, in more simple words. So how many of you drive a car or have a scooter or a two-wheeler that you drive or ride? Okay, how many of you have had a cycle before? Yeah, so what happens is, well, when you are a baby, you have a tricycle, right? Once the tricycle is done, once you're happy with the tricycle, you've done the tricycle, you grow taller, you can't use it anymore. Can you ride a tricycle today? How many of you think you can ride a tricycle today? No, right? What happens? You can't get back to that because the size doesn't fit you. So once you go from the tricycle, you go to a smaller cycle, you go to a bigger cycle, then you go to a two-wheeler, then you go to a car, the car breaks down, you replace the car in 4 years, 8 years, 9 years, 8 years, 10 years, you go to the next car, you buy a bigger car, then you go to that. You do this, right? This is a cycle that you keep doing. You don't always stay with the same tricycle that you started off in the young age. When you were a kid, you started off with a tricycle. You never stay with that, right? Has the driver changed here? The vehicle that you're driving has always changed. Has the driver changed? No, right? So driver is nothing but the soul. So driver doesn't change. The body is what has kept on changing. The body was a tricycle, body was a cycle, body was a two-wheeler, body was a four-wheeler, and it keeps changing. What happens is some people meet with an accident, and something. What happens is, like, some people live their life much early in their stage. What happens in that case? It's nothing but the soul was going fine, but the soul met with an accident. The car met with an accident. What you do? Maybe when the car is beyond repair, what they do? They just change the car, right? That's what happens. The soul just does the same thing. If the body has met with an accident, the body is no more useful. The soul travels from that body and gets into another body. You're getting my point? You're able to understand how the soul travels? So that's brief about the soul. Okay, so again, to just help you understand, Imagine a bird inside the cage, okay? And how the cage is nothing but the body, and you keep painting the cage, you make it very beautiful, you put lights around the cage, you make it look very attractive, you take care of the cage very well, but you forget the parrot inside. You don't feed the parrot. What happens over a period of time? Was the cage there to protect the parrot, or was the parrot there just because you want to beautify the cage? It's always that you have to take care of what is inside, right? That's why the soul is the one which is inside. And the soul which is inside is what needs to be taken care of. The body is something, it's only the outside. So we go without realizing this. What we do is we put on beautiful dresses, we do a makeup of our face and then our body. We try to see that the body is what is very important. We take a lot of care for the body. I don't say we should not. We should take care for the health so that we are able to serve the Lord better. Right? But what is also to be done? We have to also serve the soul which is inside our body. Right? And everybody, Krishna says that when he says there was never a time that I wasn't existing, when you weren't existing, he clearly says that he rests in every body. In every body, there is a soul, and the soul. Do you remember? Do you imagine? Do you know where the soul rests in the body? Anybody can probably put it on the chat. Where does the soul rest in the body? Where do you think the soul rests in the body? Middle of the eye, no. Everywhere, no. It's there everywhere, but it's in a very small spot. Okay, so I'll give you the answer. So it's said, yes, exactly. I think Anuj got the answer. Sorry, Anju got the answer. So Anju, I think that you were right. It rests in the heart. So that's why when you say think from your heart, don't think from your brain. Don't think your mind, think your heart. Because when you listen to your heart, it is your soul telling you what is right, what is good to do. Soul never tells you what not to do. Soul is always trying to travel to the higher planets. The soul always wants to serve Krishna, so to serve the Lord. So the soul always tells what is right to do. That's why they say always listen to the heart. Okay. The soul can never be cut into pieces by any weapon, nor can he be burnt by fire or moistened by water or withered by the wind. So soul is indestructible. You can't destruct the soul. You can't cut the soul into pieces. It doesn't get wet. It doesn't get heated. It is never going to be happening like that. Okay. The soul is something. It is always eternal. And this is again told in Bhagavad Gita in 2.23. So this is all his answers. Krishna is answering the question number 1. What was the question number 1? Compassion, right? Now comes the answer to the question number 2. He says what was the second point? What was the second point Arjuna was asking? Okay, we want a quick recap. So there's no enjoyment, right? Compassion, enjoyment, no enjoyment, sins, traditions, and indecision. So let's say, This is no enjoyment. He says, O son of Kunti, either you would be killed on the battlefield, or you'll attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore, get up and fight with determination. He says, when you kill people, and if you kill the people and you win the war, you get the huge kingdom of Hastinapura. And you enjoy the earthly kingdom. If you die in the battlefield, you have done the duties that I have told you, as Krishna I have told you, as Bhagavan has told you. And what happens when you serve the Lord? The Lord makes sure that you go to the higher planets. So he says when you go to the higher planets, your soul doesn't get into the journey of life and death further. Okay, that's why when we say we have to get to the heaven after death, that's all that we do, the lot of puja path which we do. It's all because we always want to get to the heavenly planets. That's what he clearly says. So when you go to the battlefield and you attain, when you get killed in the battlefield, doing your duty to serve Krishna, serve the Lord, and that as a Kshatriya, it is your duty to fight. When you do that, you attain the heavenly planets. And otherwise, you still, if you win, if you live the battle and you win, you enjoy the earthly kingdom. So there isn't, he says there's no enjoyment. He says there is enjoyment. Anyway, you want to enjoy because you've surrendered to me. So when you've surrendered to me, it is you who are going to enjoy. So go ahead and fight. So that's his clear explanation. Then he says, your enemies, if you don't fight, what are your enemies going to describe you as? They're going to describe you in many unkind words. They're going to tell you, you don't have the ability, and scorn your ability. They're going to doubt your ability. And what would be more painful for you? Say like Arjuna got feared, he was fearful with a Fatutha. They'll say, do all that, and they'll say, you have been so fearful, and that will pain you more. So what do we, even when we go through the problems, what do we see? Like, do we see that we will be a failure? What is the bigger fear? Is it because we will fail, or is it because the society around you will see your failure? Which is the failure that hurts us more? Can you please type? Which is the failure that hurts you more? The second one, right? So the failure of the society pointing you on, or pointing fingers at you, or questioning you, or describing you with some words, unkind words, that's what hurts you, right? Thank you for typing on the chat box. So that's why I think that's what is more hurting you more. So we are all looking at that as a problem. Now that's why Krishna says, in this endeavor, he's now answering the third question. He says it's a sin. Arjuna says it's a sin, right? In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from most dangers of fear, dangerous types of fear. He says, don't worry about it. Now I am by your side. So you will be protected by me. And when you do even a little work, little action to serve me, I am here to protect you. Okay? What happens when Hanuman's tail is put on fire in Lanka? What does Hanuman do? He goes, fires the whole of Lanka. Okay, what has he done? He's done to his ability to serve the Lord. The war that was to begin. Okay, there is so much of fear induced already in Ravana's mind. The whole kingdom of Lanka. Okay, the whole kingdom of Lanka is now fearful because there was one Vanar which came in terms of by means of Hanuman, and he has put the whole of Lanka into fire. You see that, right? How much of psychological impact it has on the war. And like they say, like there was only one warrior who came in and he destroyed whole of it. Who was so strong in destroying the whole of what Lanka had. And if today we see that happening, then that's something that's tremendous damage, right? So that's how it has been described, that it is small things that make so much of difference. Do start serving in small ways. Okay, so I'll not go through the other stories because it will take a much longer time. So it's like a mouse which is looking at the ghee lamp. When it looks at the ghee lamp, it seems there's a light coming out of it. So it feels as if it is a fruit or it is something eatable that it can go and eat. And when a mouse goes and goes to the fire, it gets killed. It's all like that. So like many things attract us, and we go to that and we get into the lust of it, and then we get unnecessarily trapped into it. Okay, so now the answer is to the question number 4. So the doubt number 4. So what was the doubt number 4? I want people to answer now. Oh, sorry, someone said I didn't get the idea. Can you please explain what idea? Okay, why it is not a sin? Okay. So it is not a sin because of the previous slide. He says there is no loss or diminution, and I like there's little advancement on the path to protect one from most dangerous types of fear. So what do you consider as a sin? So what is, as a person, we see what is not a sin is because if you don't fight here, Arjuna, if he doesn't fight, that is a sin. Okay, because by not fighting, he is not protecting his Kshatriya dharma. His dharma is to fight, right? He's a Kshatriya, his dharma is to fight. And if he doesn't fight, that is a sin. And why it is not a sin? Because why is not a sin to fight? Because he's not going to kill the soul, he's going to kill the body. And these bodies have become more conscious about themselves, that he is not, they've forgotten that they are soul. And these bodies have been behaving in a very they've been very in a very weird manner, which will go ahead and destroy the whole society going forward. And that's when Krishna is clearly telling, now that you've surrendered to me, you don't have to consider this as a sin. And if you don't fight today, that becomes the biggest sin. The whole society will tell you you did not fight. And that becomes the biggest sin. What to communicate to the society? You say, by not fighting, if Arjuna had not fought the war, it would have been the right way to societies to come to the future generations to understand, okay, Arjuna, if he has not fought, it is right not to fight. It is right not to do the right things at the right time, because we would hurt someone. You're getting my point? So then if that is the message that gets to the people, that becomes the sin. If you don't perform your duty, it's because you would hurt someone, because someone is going to be worried about it. That is the greatest sin. So Krishna clearly tells him, it is not a sin for you to fight. Go and fight. It is your duty to fight. Not doing your duty is the biggest sin. Is that okay, Keshav? Yeah. Yeah. So that's what he did. What was the fourth point that we had? Indecision. That's right. Okay, indecision was the last one. I think the fourth one was not indecision. We had compassion. We saw compassion. We saw no material enjoyment. We said yes, there's the material enjoyment. The third one, yes, family traditions, right? So now we say the Vedas mainly deal with the subject of 3 modes of material nature. Okay, O Arjuna, become transcendental to these 3 modes. Be free from all the dualities and all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. He says there are 3 material modes of nature: Sattva guna, Rajaguna, and Tamaguna. One is the goodness, one is the passion, and third one is the ignorance. What is goodness? Sattva guna, being very, we'll just take it by the food that we have. We have sattvic food, right? Which is not so spicy, which is not so tasty. It is just the basic bland food, right? So that is sattva guna. So you remain in the same state. If there's a lot of happiness, you don't be very happy, you don't laugh out loud, you're normal. When it is so much of sorrow, you see this kind of people, right? They don't react to many of this. When people are very happy, they say, okay, I'm smiling. When there's so much of sorrow, the face is a little down, but they're not crying, they're not doing it. So that is sattva guna. The second is rajaguna, this passion for everything. I said, I want so much of money, I want so much of that, I want so much of this. So like we go behind that. We are passionate about a career. We are passionate about earning more money. We are passionate about getting new mobile phones. Given there's a new mobile in the market phone, there are people who go buy it right on the first day, within the first week. How many of you used to do that? It happens, right? That's the passion for happening. Okay. When you see a new mobile phone, a new app, a new something that your friend is using, They say, oh, that's something better. I should also have it. We go do it, right? That's the Rajaguna. So we are just going and doing because someone is doing, whether it's, we don't see whether it is really useful for you. And there are some kind of people like they're still using the old mobiles, or they're still using the basic touch phones because they understand what is required for me, I use that. So that's the goodness, sattva guna. Okay, then there's passion, then there's ignorance. So whatever happened, I don't know why I bought this mobile phone. I just, because someone told me buy it, I just went bought it. I don't know if it's really useful for me or not. So that is ignorance. That is even more dangerous. Okay. So now when you have people in this kind, people with this sattva goodness, so then you have all the family traditions, you try to maintain things, maintain a balance between family and the other, your career and other life. So that's when people are into that. Okay. All purposes served by small well can once be served by the great reservoir of water. Similarly, all the purpose of Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. So even a small well, okay, this 2.46 of Bhagavad Gita, a small well can still serve a smaller family, a smaller local society. Okay, it can probably serve a family of 15 or 20 houses together, and then it serves their water needs. All that, a big reservoir, a big lake, which actually serves the whole city, can be served by a small well, but it is only serves in its capacity. In the same way, all the purposes served by Veda to one who knows the purpose of Veda can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. Once you know the purpose behind anything that you're getting, it is something that it can serve all your requirements. Okay. So what happens is this: in this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on the path to protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. He says these family traditions, the other reasons we saw, the sin, all these are like when you advance in the spiritual world, when you start serving the Lord little by little, then automatically you advance in this spiritual path. Okay, there is no loss anywhere. He says when I kill everybody, the family traditions are lost. He says when you don't kill and you give the wrong message to everybody, okay, that's when the family traditions are lost. The family will start understanding that the whole, whatever it's right to ignore, it's right not to fight. Okay, all that he's having in Kshatriya Dharma, as his future generations might, if Arjuna doesn't fight, might assume that not fighting is the right thing. So that's when the family traditions are lost, right? Okay, so we'll go to the next one. The blessed Lord says, "O Partha." Partha, by meaning Partha, is addressing Arjuna. When a man gives up all his varieties of senses, desires, and which arise from the mental conquest, and when his mind finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be pure transcendental consciousness. He is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. He says, like, when the man gives up all his variety, he says, what happens here? Krishna clearly tells him, you win the war, you get the material enjoyment. You lose the war, you get killed in the war, you go to the higher planet. So what is now Arjuna thinking? Like, and anyways, I'm going to be benefited because I've surrendered to the Lord. And I've given up. He's no more enjoying all his material benefits. He no more wants the kingdom. He no more wants to. He's no more worried because he's going to be killing people. When all that comes into his mind, he is in a state of mental concussion. Okay, and he's free from all the material desires. When that happens, he gets into the transcendental world. Okay. So that's what happened. He's not worried about whether the snakes, you can see the child here, right? It's like something like Prahlad Maharaj. So like he's there, he's not worried His father Hiranyakashipu was sending him so many problems. He's getting him bitten by snakes. He's putting him into the jail. He's throwing him away from the large cliffs. Prahlad Maharaj is not happy, not worried about any of them. He has given up all his material desire. He says, I am focused only on the Lord. I am focused only on Krishna. So that's how. So I agree. Maybe all of us may not go to that state immediately. It's huge advancement in life. Okay, it's huge advancement in us thought process in the spiritual journey. But at least we can always say in our day-to-day things. We say like, okay, today I have 3 coffees. I normally take 4 or 5 coffees. They're like, why can't I give up 1 or 2 coffees? That's taking most of my desires. I have been looking for coffees every day these days. That's making me addicted to it. Can I give up on that? People agree to it? These are small things that we can see. If you're getting used to something, you are expecting something to come on time every time. So like you expect your parents to, your family to give you a coffee or tea at the right time. Can you say like, okay, this time I'm not going to ask for it. And if they don't give me, that's still fine. I'll give up on 1 or 2 coffees. I'll go take it directly from the kitchen. Can you guys implement something like that today? So these are small things that can actually bring change. Okay, you say you will be using your mobile. Just see on the mobile, how long do you use your mobile? You say, okay, I'm going to cut down 1 hour of my mobile usage time today. I'm not going to use WhatsApp, or I'm not going to use mobile between say 6 and 7 in the evening. Or I'm just going to spend time with my parents. I'm going to talk to them, my family. I'm going to talk to them for 1 hour without my interruption of mobile. Do that? Can you do that? These are small things that can actually bring change. And remember, the mobiles have just come in the last 5 or 10 years. And all that communication was happening before was physically happening. And today that communication has come down drastically. These are small things as youngsters we can always implement. Okay? That would bring us to a different state in life. Please try these things, these small things in life, in today's day, and give me your feedback tomorrow. They'll actually, when someone does that, no, people will think, what has happened? Are you out of mind? Because you've not done this for a quite long time now. I'm sure these things will also come up. People will be surprised by your behavior when you do something like that. So just try to do those things and see. Okay, so the point is that we must give up on things that are done just for our desires, is it? Yes, that's right. If something is done just for our desires, see what happens. What do we do on mobile phone? We're doing chatting, and then like we say, we don't have time. We don't have time to do that. We don't have time to actually talk to people over the physically. We say we don't have time to read the newspapers. Sometimes we say we don't have time to. Even for puja, we say we don't have time today. Come on, we've been spending so much of time on mobile phone just to please our desires, right? So just take out some time out of it, put it into your spiritual journey, put it into your life, put it into your family, and realize yourself. Okay, that's more important. So just give up some time on what you do for your desires, and take out that time and put it on yourself, to work on yourself. Okay. How many of you have got Bhagavad Gita, a copy of Bhagavad Gita? That's nice. 1. I see 1 me. Yeah, that's 2. Okay, there are many coming up. 3, 4. Okay, that's good. Okay, just try to see that if you find time today, just take out some 15 minutes of your time and go through some of the shlokas on chapter 2. You'll be able to understand things much, much, much better. Okay, just go through the purports. If you have Bhagavad Gita as it is from ISKCON, think written by Srila Prabhupada, just go through. You don't even have to go through the purports. Just go through the English translations of them, and you'll understand how detailed it is, how Krishna is speaking to you, how God is directly speaking to you, and He addresses every problem of yours. Okay. So this is the next shloka, 2.62, where he is now coming to the last part of it. Okay. So where he says, what was the last question? Indecision, right? What was the last doubt? Indecision, right? So when contemplating the objects of senses, a person develops attachment for them. And from such attachment develops lust. And from the lust, anger arises. So this is one of my favorite slogans. So because this is one of my favorite parts of Bhagavad Gita, because this explains everything in what we see. So I just made some table for it. Okay, this is a continuation to it. From anger, a complete delusion arises, and from a delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and when the intelligence is lost, one falls again into the material pool. I'll just explain these two shlokas. These are very important and very nicely explained. And I'll take you a chart that will explain you. This is based on, again, Bhagavad Gita 2.16 and 2.16. By contemplating objects. So just imagine, okay? Just imagine you and your friend are around. Your friend picks up an iPhone from his pocket. What happens? By contemplating objects and senses, positive or negative. Now you're thinking, oh wow, this is an iPhone, right? The iPhone looks really beautiful. iPhone is so beautiful, and this is a person who has it. So his status in the society, you assume this, okay, this guy is in a higher state of society because he's got an iPhone. I want people to say yes on the chat box if you are realizing this, if you go through this, okay? And if you agree with me, just please say yes on the chat box. Say yes, this is an iPhone which is coming up. Okay, this guy is better in the society. What happens is, I should also get this, something like this. So now that's the attachment that you're developing. You saw this iPhone, now you're seeing that you're getting attachment to it. So like, okay, I should also get an iPhone. Or maybe there's an iPhone, maybe someone picks up a very good. Today the trend is on OnePlus. Silly, is a OnePlus phone. There's something like as good as iPhone. And I want to see something like, I want to buy a OnePlus. Happens that now you're developing attachment towards that. First, you're already addicted to the mobile phones. Now, within the mobile phones, what is happening is mobile phone has become a status symbol. Now, within that status symbol, there's a brand which has become a status symbol, which is an iPhone or a OnePlus. You agree to that? So now, once that happens, you develop lust to it. You say, no, now I want this. Come what may, I'm going to get it. Now you start saving your money. When you save money for some other purpose, you say, okay, that is costing me 15,000 rupees. There's an operation or there's a medical insurance that you want to take that is going to cost 15,000 rupees. I say, okay, instead of 5 lakh insurance, I'll probably go for a 3 lakh insurance. That still serves the medical purpose. But the 2 lakhs insurance which I have to take, that cost me 3,000 rupees more. That 3,000 I'll buy an iPhone. That's for 3,000 I'll remove and save that money to buy an iPhone. Happens, right? You have to do something else rather than putting it the right place. You move it out and then put it at a different place. Okay, then what happens? The lust, when you're not able to buy that, if you don't find the right finances to buy that, what happens is just the lust results in an anger. Okay, now you're starting to get angry on yourself that you're not able to buy it. Okay, when that happens, you get into a delusion. Now your mind is confused. Now you start getting into that stage, and you are in delusion stage, and you want to do anything to do it. Then you go to bewilderment. Your mind says no. Now you get it, come what may. You beg, borrow, steal, go do it. Start borrowing money from people. You lose your intelligence just to buy this phone. Okay, there are people who start borrowing money from people, and when they lose their intelligence, when they're not able to repay back, you go take a hefty loan for it. It happens, right? People go to buy a hefty loan for it. You go convince your parents that no, I want this, and because of our constant insistence and constant demand, okay, because we are so strong in getting that, our parents also get that. They probably get into a loan of it. Okay, and maybe they are rich. Maybe they could have put the money on something else. Maybe they could have made something more useful. But they also buy into your idea and then they get you a mobile phone, we get you an iPhone. And what happens with laws of intelligence? We get into that poor state of not having. We get the status symbol, but with that status symbol, what happens is we lose a lot of image, lot of recognition going for in the society. Only the society only says he's got an iPhone, but you know how he got it? There'll be people talking behind you. Okay, that is more worrisome. And then one falls into the gross material existence. Okay, what is correct approach? Is thinking for iPhone wrong, or it is a reason for purchase which is wrong? Second one is right. Okay, so I don't say, see, if you want an iPhone and if that serves your purpose and you have the capacity to do it, you have enough and more reserve cash to do it. So I think that's not the reason. That's then you can. It's the what is problem is you want to buy an iPhone because you want to show it in the society. You want that to be your marketing piece. Okay, that's not the right way to do it. Okay, there are still organizations which recognize only iPhones, because that's more safe, that's more data encrypted, etc. So there is a purpose to do it. But others, when we are buying it, just because we want to show off that we want an iPhone, that is not right. And just because there is someone else having it, because my friend is having it, I also want it as a status symbol, that is not right. It's not only for an iPhone, it is for anything that you want. So if your friend has a car and you also want to have a car, and there is no purpose in you having a car. Your workplace is just the next building. Okay, and you don't travel every day by the car to your office space, right? So if it's just next building 1 kilometer away, and if you want to take your car just to show that I have a car, I'm also that becomes status symbol. That's where it's not okay to have it, right? This is something on the indecision. Krishna says this is the process that you are going through. This indecision should come or get out of your mind, and you should do what is right for you. Do what is your duty, right? So what happens? Just a quick recap of it. What is gross material existence? The gross material existence is nothing but, whatever is in the material world, all these that are creating lust to us, whatever is getting attachment, whatever we are getting attached to. We get attached to family, we get attached to gadgets, we get attached to the, maybe we won't get attached to the weather in some place, but it's all temporary. Whatever is temporary is all gross material existence. What is permanent? The soul is permanent. Okay, moving to the spiritual world is permanent. Okay, that's what is, that is what is moving away from what is material to gross material existence to the spiritual existence. To go to the next world, go to the next, the spiritual world. That is the right path. Whatever is going to stop you, whatever is going to distract from you is all material existence. Hope I answer that question. Which things we do not need? Okay, so that is something we will answer in the future. Okay, we'll tell you what is all that we need, what is all that we don't need. Okay, I'll give you that answer, maybe not on the second chapter. Second chapter is still the overall saransh. It's the Gita saransh, the Gita summary. We will get into the details of each and every point going in the next 16 chapters. Okay, so I'll ask you to reserve this question for to be answered a little later, because we will be answering it in a much better way in a later sense. Okay, now when we have these objects, we develop attachment to it. This is the cycle that we already saw. We develop lust, we develop anger towards, then it's a delusion, bewilderment of memory, loss of intelligence, and we fall down. Happens, right? What happens? We want some very good marks in the exams. What we do is we get attachment towards the exams, attachment towards marks, not on knowledge. We get attachment towards marks. And that becomes a lust. When you don't score the marks, you get angry about yourself not having scored the marks. Then what you do, you go to the other ways of getting marks. Some people get into cheating, some people getting into just memorizing everything, right? You lose intelligence and do all that. What happens in the exam? You don't get those questions that you have read, or you're not able to remember what you've read, then we fall. Rather, we don't develop attachment to the marks. We develop attachment towards the knowledge of it. What happens? It always stays. Okay, knowledge can never be taken away, right? Marks can always be taken away. Marks today you score 90, tomorrow someone is going to score 95. So what happens? 90 becomes lower, 95 becomes better. But what cannot be lost is the knowledge that you get. Right? So we saw this in the chapter 2 now. We saw compassion being answered. He said, we are not the body. We saw the enjoyment. There's no enjoyment. He said, no, you get heaven or you get the kingdom. He said, there is a fear of sinful activities. No, devotional activity is not sin. If surrendered to me. Destruction of family tradition, he says, no, be a role model to prevent. Varna Shankara. So what is that Varna Shankara? It is nothing but be an example to your family, be an example to the future generations. That is more important. And we say indecision is serve the Lord with firm determination. You serve the Lord and you forget about everything else. Right? So Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Have a good day. Bye.